Welcome to our channel where we talk about literature and stories. So, today our story of discussion would be about The Last Leaf, written by O. Henry. Something about the author. O. Henry goes with the name of,
William
I
Sidney Potter.
right, and he used a lot of pen names in his lifetime, right?
Yes.
One of them was O. Henry. And we are looking at the second most. I would believe that this is one of the most, but not the most famous, popular stories that he has written. Last Leaf. The first that we have all read, I think, would be the Magi one.
Yeah.
So yeah, the story begins with two characters, Johnsy and Sue, where Johnsy is suffering from pneumonia and is on her deathbed. Can we call that a deathbed?
In a way, yes, because she thinks she's going to die.
Yeah. So she's through her like basically she is um she has no hope of living. She has left all the hopes, and she's now on her deathbed. Very pessimistic view, having a lot of pessimistic hopes and views. And but her friend Sue is quite optimistic and is trying to take care of her. I would say that the whole friendship is a really strong one, where she is taking care of her. Also, side by side, they also are uh, budding artists, right?
Yes. Then we have the third character named Bearman who lives below their floor, who is a who is an artist, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to make his masterpiece yet. Johnsy is sick, as we have already talked about it, but she has also some way uh, made a parallel between the falling of the leaves from the tree, which she can see through a window, and her life. She thinks that the last leaf, when it falls, she will also die. So,
So sad.
yeah. Where the doctor examines Johnsy and then talks to Sue about her deteriorating condition and um, how she needs something to cling to life. Otherwise, it's going to be worse. And there is a line that I would like to quote that the doctor says at that moment. But when a sick person begins to feel that he is going to die, half my work is useless. Again, this shows the limitations of science, of all the technological development that we have. It's somewhere limited without that human factor, maybe, if we can call it that.
Yeah. Um,
O. Henry is known for twists ending to the story that he writes and irony contained in it. And that is something we see even in this story.
yeah. Um, Also, I read it somewhere that he was a naturalist. So he used to, he belonged to that school of writers where people were, they used to write in opposition of romantics, basically, or talking about more realistic scenarios, and also giving us a social context in everything. Maybe here they are giving us he's giving us a context of art and artists in that society, in that time, at that time, maybe.
Yeah.
uh, and also maybe a little bit of a hint of men and women in general, like as in the dynamics and the whole, so dependency of women on men, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. When the
You
doctor asks Sue whether Johnsy has a man in her life, that also shows us the mm biasness or maybe the social structure and the gender relations of that time.
Yeah,
That there
exactly.
has to be a man, but Johnsy was an artist, and obviously she was not focusing on marriage and having children. So what she has chosen was a path that was not conventional for that time. It it is still not conventional, but yeah.
Yeah, also, just to have that mindset of the illness or the whole, um, her being on the deathbed and being ill and not wanting to be all right, reminds me of this scenario where a person goes through a breakup, maybe that the doctor
Mm.
commented that maybe she's thinking about a man, maybe there is no man in her life, that this is about a breakup, or this is about because there is no man, right? So maybe that whole thing about that you are sad because of this came in my
At the
mind.
same time, the doctor also points out how she needs to have something important in her life to cling to it, which he says should be a man in a way, because that is what he asks you. And then we see the man coming in, their man,
Yeah.
to save her. But
Maybe
obviously,
a
yeah,
pun intended.
yes, yes. So he becomes the man who we never expected. Behrman was portrayed as very rough, too rough, and somebody who won't have a soft corner like he did.
Yeah, that is revealed later in the story, right? That
Yeah,
he had a soft corner. Earlier, when we like even read his dialogues, I don't know if he hails from Germany, because his the grammar that he uses and the spelling that the writer has used to write the dialogues are mostly what you use in German language.
uh,
So whenever he has to say with, he says mit. Something, there's this twang in his whole language where it reminds me of a German person, speaking.
it is actually a German surname, Behrman, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Germans are also one thing, that Germans are stereotyped as, those hardy men, men who are really, really masculine, men who are really, really like strong and devoid of any feelings. They just drink beer and have muscles, all of those stereotypes. So maybe that's why this German character pops up, giving us an illusion that he doesn't have a soft corner at all, but then turning out to be very different.
Yes. So I think the readers or the viewers already know the ending of the story. We didn't mention it, but we know that Johnsy is saved by Behrman in the end, because
Yeah,
the masterpiece that Behrman makes is the leaf that saves Johnsy's life.
the last leaf that he paints.
Yeah.
And the way that it is disclosed by Sue is very, very normal. Like, it's a very normal thing in her daily life, that she's just telling her that, didn't you notice that the leaf didn't flutter, and this is what happened to Berman, he died today morning, and this is he we found a palette of colors, green and yellow, didn't you notice that the leaf wasn't fluttering? And that's how it ends. I mean, it's so natural and so normal, easygoing, but it's a twist. So it makes me like the story more in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so right.
You had a theory. Talk about it.
Okay, no, I actually read it somewhere, so I would just like to share it. So, Behrman and Johnsy, we can see both were stuck in their lives in different ways. Johnsy was somewhere stuck while she was going away from life, and Behrman was stuck because he couldn't make the masterpiece that he always wanted to, and it was 40 years of artistic failure, if we should call it that. So the painting frees away Behrman, and John C. at the same time. And it is so admirable about the story that both the plots converge at that point. We can also see it as a symbol for how an artist helps another budding artist. You can see the writer is trying to say that the best kind of art can be produced only when the intent is to help somebody, and that art needs sacrifice. You need to sacrifice to make something beautiful.
Yeah, that is such a deep and meaningful thing. Really, really. I didn't think about it actually. Yeah. Good art needs your sacrifice and something that you haven't done in your life ever.
Yeah,
Maybe that is sympathy for someone, maybe that is empathy for someone, or a good deed, simply.
yes.
Selfless deed, right?
I read it somewhere that there is also um, suggestions of romantic involvement of Sue and Johnsy. While we see that there is no man in Johnson's life, maybe because there is a woman, so there is no man.
Yeah. And I also got a hint maybe when initially reading the story. I really thought that maybe John C. and Sue had something going on, but then it developed and never talked about it. Also, there was a talk about the friendship thing. I'm not sure, maybe, but this really is a strong, strong theory.
Yeah, it is. That's why I just said maybe it is suggestive of romantic involvement of the two women. But again, female friendship is different from that of male friendship somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, that strong bond that we are able to see here may be something natural about feminine friendship, female.
Exactly. Uh,
So again,
it,
there's a there's a difference between homosocial and
and
homosexual.
mm, do you think it's offensive to even assume that they both are in a romantic relationship if they are not in a romantic relationship? No, right? It's okay to
Mm.
assume it, right? If you want to, as a
Yes,
literature
yeah, right.
enthusiast.
Obviously, it is okay. It should be okay to assume so. But it's just that just because we see a strong bond, we don't need to relate it always to sexuality. So
It wouldn't be the absolute truth, but
yeah,
there's always a possibility of
yes,
both.
definitely. So that is it for today's video. We hope you enjoyed the discussion that we had and you got to know something more about the story which you have already read or come across. We'll meet again with a new story in the next video.